Speaker, we hear today 2 points from the lower house of the opposition. We hear one, plutocracy. What does plutocracy mean? It means that when there's financing, richer parties get financed by bigger corporations, and then when parties do not get financing from corporations, they go bust. We say that is not the point. What my partner has brought up is a system whereby public financing would come into play. Public financing that would make all parties on equal ground. Public financing that is 750 million now in the US as opposed to 1 billion of corporate financing. We say 750 million lesser but appropriate. What have we seen today basically? And the second point from the lower house of the opposition as well, they say, look, companies can fund through other means, by having this by implementing this policy today, we do not stop corporate financing into the government as well. And we say yes. We say one, banning political financing is not mutually exclusive from banning post-political finance, campaign financing. We say this is not in the scope of discussion today, but we say that the main point that we should argue today is what is the correct financing means for corporate finance, for corporations. And what my partner has come up to say today is that we seek win-win situations. We seek win-win situations whereby corporate financing goes through either stakeholders in the government itself, stakeholders in the regulatory commissions, or stakeholders who actually give to the government through profit taxes or providing employment to the government. Point not taken, sorry. And the point is this: there are current means to how corporations can influence government decisions, and we say that influence, yes, is warranted because, as the opening opposition said, they do have a big interest in the nation. But the question is, what is the correct mechanisms? The opposition have not given us a clear idea at all what is the correct mechanism that is in place today. They think that there is no mechanism. They think that there is no mechanism, and they think that public financing is the right mechanism, and we say no. And so, what are the clashes that we see today? First, we see a clash in the context and status quo. We see that the opposition do not understand what exactly is the status quo at all. They come up to say, look, companies have a big interest in the nation, but they have no right to pursue interest at all, and without the ability to finance, their interest cannot be reflected. They are the minority that is suppressed. Now we are astounded at that point of view because companies today are not the minority in the country. They hold a big decision on the government because they can finance public campaigns. Because they can finance public campaigns, and we say that that's the wrong mechanism. There are channels already where the relationship is clear. Profit taxes, employment given, and the government want all these corporations influence in the government as well, but through the right channels. And why is that important? That's important because we want to make sure that all these interests that the corporations have are in line with the people's interests as well. And that is what elections are about. That is what democracy is about. Elections are a platform for citizens as individuals of a nation to express their views when they have a stake in the nation as well. And that is why, as my partner said, we do not allow foreign companies to vote. We do not allow foreign financing. And then the opposition from the lower house come up to say, look, why not we just allow corporations who are fully local? We see that that is a soft and neat case, and we are again surprised that that has come up as a rebuttal because no corporations today are fully local. No corporations can fully say that they have their HQ only in the US, they provide employment only to the US, and they sell only to the US. We don't see that that's possible today in the interconnected world that we are in. And we say that, but elections are purely domestic issues, and elections should reflect only the people's point of view. Now we also see the opposition coming up to say, look, companies are not dominating today. We say no, that is a wrong understanding of the realistic picture today. Also, they said current political structure provides sufficient checks and balances, or even if they don't provide sufficient checks and balances, the people can sue, they can demonstrate, and the people actually understand what's happening through transparency. And we say no, government creates legislative laws that the judiciary implements. Now, where does all these laws come from? They come from government who are politicians who are trying to get financing from the corporations, and therefore governments are influenced by corporations. Secondly, they say that people can understand through transparency. We say no, yes, there is transparency, but people do not understand where are the means of such transparency. People don't understand and don't form correct perceptions through media which corporate financing go into. And we say that transparency does not mean full information. Transparency still produces information asymmetry, and hence people do not really understand. Now we see the DPM from the opposition coming up to say, look, political parties need money and bear responsibility of accepting finances. Yes, we admit politicians need money, and yes, politicians would admit to taking the money, but does that actually allow people to understand how that influences legislative laws? We say no. Two, is that the right money to take? Just because politicians are taking money, do we say we take it? We say no, yes, closing.
How does removing only campaign funding ensure that corporates don't influence any politics?
Thank you very much. Yes, we want corporations to influence politics, but we want them to influence through the right means. And what we are saying and what the opposition have missed repeatedly is that public financing, campaign financing is not the right means. The right means are through profit taxes. The right means are when they take part in discussion within trade unions, within institutions that correctly represent the people's rights. And therefore, let me sum up today's clashes. One, we have shown, the laws have shown clearly that in terms of contextual knowledge and status quo, the opposition do not understand at all what is happening today. Two, we have explained what is a democracy. We say we champion people and we proudly champion people because people feel feeble when corporations are influencing campaigns. People feel feeble when we don't have one vote per person, but now campaign financing is actually influencing votes. We say that corporate financing is needed, but corporate financing should come through institutions that the government have set up that serve the people needs. Corporate financing should not influence elections because elections are for the people. We say that MNCs have loyalty to profits, they do not have loyalty to the people or the nation, and therefore they are business partners of the government that want to seek win-win deals, and the government wants to seek all these win-win deals, but we do not want to do it through the ballot box. Three, we have talked about the equality of corporations. Now, the opposition come up to say, look, it's unfair for corporations who have a big interest in the nation to not be able to vote. But we say, yes, they are allowed to influence governmental rules, but they are not allowed to influence it through the ballot box. In addition, we want SMEs and MNCs, SMEs to actually provide more employment to the nation, to actually have a vote as well, but they don't have corporate financing that can help in campaigns. And therefore we say, for the equality of corporations, we want to say that SMEs and MNCs have the same vote and they vote as individuals and the citizens. We have not seen a response from the opposition and we see that in the whip speech. Thank you very much.
Before I begin with understanding and identifying the clashes of the case and telling you why this side of the house, especially the closing opposition, has won this debate, I would like to begin with a very, very basic, essential rebuttal that this side of the house has failed to understand. They came up and said that these corporations, these financial corporations, in the process of funding these political campaigns, which by the way they understood to be the only exclusive means for the financial corporations to be funding these political parties. Now they said that they actually influence legislation. Right? Now, what we are saying is, at the end of the day, it is the vote of the people. At the end of the day, it is what the people want. Right? I'll give you an example of the SOPA Act. Right? This was an act that was initiated to limit file sharing. Right? And what happened at the end of the day? There was a major public outcry, and it was clamped down. The act was clamped down. What we're saying is, at the end of the day, right, the vote is the people's. At the end of the day, they make the decision on the basis of the on the basis of the information that they get. Right. At the end of the day, these people actually exercise this power of theirs and are not a bunch of people who are being oppressed and exploited by these evil corporations as has been characterized by this side of the house, right? And this is the case that we have tried to establish throughout this debate, and this is the case that I'll be protecting through my whip speech, right? Now, getting further with the case, the opening of government came in and said that relied the entire case on the basis that it actually skews decision making, right? Now what we are saying is this doesn't really skew decision making, right? Financial corporations actually deserve to have their interests served. Keeping in mind the major good that they get to society, the major taxes that they get to society, the major revenue that they bring to the government, and the major employment that they bring to the government, that this side of the house is already acknowledged. We have to recognize their rights as an interest group, and that is what they're saying, right? And we do not say that this should happen legitimately, which is actually what this side of the house has been insinuating. We are saying that as long as the process is transparent, right? As long as the process is transparent to the extent that every voter knows which financial organization is supporting the political campaign of what party, we are okay with it, because the people at the end of the day will know that this corporation, this financial organization actually will end up supporting this, and the political party will actually work in that favor. And we also went up to say, Speaker ma'am, we also went up to tell you why that is actually good, right? We cannot have a political party which doesn't have directed interest, right? We cannot have a political party that is non-representative, right? We cannot have a political party that just comes up and says, we'll do good to the society, we'll do good to the people, and corporations will just see them as it goes. This actually leaves a lot of leeway, this actually leaves a lot of uncertainty as to the corporate policy of the government, right? If the people are sure, because of the transparency that we introduced in the entire process of funding political campaigns, they know what corporations the political parties are going to support if they come to power. They know what corporations are going to benefit from this, and they know which way the corporate policy will go, right? And the entire problem is the problem of accountability, and we are saying that why cut this funding to political parties and stop the transfer of information, right? You can make the entire process more accountable by actually, like for example, introducing the tender in the mining rights in Alaska, right? You are actually making this process more accountable and giving less leeway to corruption. And you know, at the end of the day, Shell being the company that it is, it will still get that tender. Ladies and gentlemen, as we went on with the case, we actually told you that this stopping funding to these political campaigns doesn't really do anything major, because it is not as the closing government has said that they only tax revenue and other goody things that the corporations can fund the political parties to, right? There are donations to certain political programs. There are donations to certain political activities that these political parties carry on. And what are these? These are essentially support that these financial corporations show to these political parties. And what have we told you here? We have told you here that this support is not legally mandatory for the information to be made public, right? So we are saying that you are actually introducing a case wherein these financial corporations will have to go underground in their support to the political parties, and you won't actually know the corporate policy, and you will actually hamper the information transfer. And even if you stop this, right? Even if you stop this process, what did we say? We introduced the concept of plutocracy. Now we know that Republicans is made of giant industrialists, and Republican Party constitutes of the giant industrialists, and I'll take you on this. Giant industrialists and very rich people, right? Now we know that if you stop political funding, there's no way Barack Obama and the Democrats can get their point across as good as Mitt Romney, who happens to be a billionaire, right? And that is what we are saying, that if you introduce this policy, these parties will rely on their internal funding, and that will result in only the information transfer on the basis of of how much money each party has. Now, quickly.
So the problem is, and your party is the people will know what kind of corporations support what party, but essentially they have no way to impose their choice or their choices. Both parties, there's binary choice in the bipartisan system.
Yeah, I'll come now, as you see that the closing government, as the government bench has constantly accused us of not running a positive case, right? But we have actually told you that our positive case is on the basis of viewing the financial corporations as an interest group. What we are doing here is viewing the financial corporations as an interest group, acknowledging their rights to actually represent their interests in the legislature, right? But as the assertion that has come from the government bench that the interest needs to be balanced, that is actually not true, right? Interests represented by interest groups don't really need to be balanced. It is the scale and the dearth and the demands of the interest groups in society that determine the influence of these groups, right? This ensures that the amount of support that a certain interest gets actually has those ramifications in the legislature. This is the idea of the interest groups, and it is not necessary that the interest needs to be balanced. Democratic vote franchising needs to be balanced, which I've told you with my SOPA example, actually gets exercised positively. Now, my member of opposition gave you an even if argument for multinational corporations. We are not conceding to not having multinational corporations, because they also come into the country, they also give us jobs, they also create revenue, and for that we can have them in there, right? So at the end of the day, what have we told you? At the end of the day, we have established a burden that this move will actually not do any good, and for these financial corporations actually deserve to have their say and have the funding in these political campaigns, and that we stand out.
Yeah.